Okay, this is going to be lesson 3 on factoring. Today we're going to talk about trinomials and mainly around trinomials and negatives. Okay, so here's what you have to be cautious of. Anytime you're doing a trinomial, which is 3 terms, and you see a negative, okay? Now, here is the concept, okay? If you see a negative, all right, it's one of 2 scenarios, okay? It's one of 2 scenarios. If the last number is negative, when you go to make your chart, okay, you'll have one side negative, okay? All right, so if you see a negative, if you got the last number is negative, it's one side negative. If you see the last number as positive, okay, so you have a negative, but you see the last number is positive. When you make your chart, it's both sides will be negative, okay? Now, here is the reason for that, okay? All right, so let me go through a couple of examples. Let's say I had like I squared minus 11i plus 28, okay? So the idea is, okay, I would go to make my chart. That would be 1 times 28, okay, which would be 28, all right? Now, the problem is, if I'm looking to add these up, I'm looking for a set that would add up to negative 11, okay? However, if they're both positive, they're not going to add up to negative 11. Well, Mr. Evans, what if I make one side negative? Well, then negative times a positive wouldn't give you a positive. So that's why both sides have to be negative, okay? All right, now, when you have a number at the end that is negative, that's why this times this will give you this, and this has the potential. Now, you have to be careful of this, okay? I'm going to put a little star. You may need to switch the sides that are negative, okay? We'll explain that in a little bit when we go through our examples, okay? So what I want to start with, all I want you to do is identify, okay, how many sides are negative in your chart. Remembering, if you see a negative and then the last number is negative, we're going to do one side. If we see a negative and the last number is positive, we're doing both sides. Okay? So what I'd like you to do, if you're sort of just watching this, okay, I want you to decide, okay, take a minute, write down how many sides would be negative. So pause your video. Okay? All right, now this one, all right, negative one side, so I'd have one side negative. This one, negative, but this is positive, so both sides would be negative. I see a negative, and that number is negative, one side. Okay? All right, see a negative, but that's positive, both sides. Okay? All right, I see a negative, but that's positive, both sides. Okay? I see a negative, but that's negative, one side. Okay? I see a negative, and that's negative, one side. I see a negative, but that's positive, 2 sides. So that's the big thing. You got to know how many sides are negative. Okay? All right. So let's go and actually do some real examples. Okay? Now, we should always check. Okay? We should always check for GCFs. Okay? All right? So by now we should be really good at that. All right? Miscellaneous GCD. All right? That's a 1 here. Okay? So 1. All right? Negative 2. Whoops. Hold on. 1. Negative 2. Negative 63. All right? And it's 1. And they don't have any letters in common, so we got no GCF. So what am I taught to do? I want to multiply 1 times negative 63, which would be negative 63. Now, what I want to do, okay, I see a negative, that's negative, so I'm going to start with one side being negative. Okay? All right? So I'm going to start with 1 and 63. All right? We're making our little charts just like we did before. 63 divided by 2, nope. Divided by 3, yeah, 3 and 21. Okay? 4, no. 5, no. 6, no. 7, 7, and 9. Okay, the only choice between there is 8. Okay, now, doesn't work. Now, I am looking for the set that adds up to -2. Okay, now, the closest set to this would be this one. -7 plus 9 would add up to +2. Well, I need it to be -2. So what I'm going to do is very simply switch the side that is negative. So 7 minus 9 would give me -2. So that's my set. Okay, so as a reminder, okay, my first term goes in here, 1i squared. My last term, which is -63, goes here. This is going to be +7i to the first. It's going to be -9i to the first. So this comes from the chart. Okay, we went over that in the last lesson. Okay, now we're just doing GCFs. Okay, so out of this row, we got a GCF of 1 and -9. Okay, which is 1. They both have an I1 in common. This next one will be 7 and -63, which is 7. Now, since it touches a positive box, that would be positive. This has an I and this doesn't. So we can either know that this times this would give me this, which would be 1. This times this would have to give you this, which would be -9. But if you need to, you can do the GCFs. Okay, 1 and 7. That's 1. They have an I1 in common. That is -9 and -63. That is 9. Now, since that touches a negative box, that will be negative. They don't have an I in common. So I got 1i to the first plus 7, 1i to the first minus 9, or you can do it as 1i to the first minus 9, 1i to the first plus 7. Okay? Very simply. Okay? So this one, I see a negative, but that's going to be positive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have both sides being negative. Okay? All right, now, I multiply 5 times 8, which would be 40. Okay? All right? Well, I actually got ahead of myself. I want to check for the GCF, okay, of these. All right, 5, -22, that's 222, and 8. That's 1, no letters in common, okay? So now I want to check 40, all right? Obviously 1 and 40 is going to work, all right? So let's divide 40 by 2. If you do this like this in your calculator, you just keep deleting. So 2 and 20, all right? Let me check 3. No, let me check 4, 4 and 10. Okay, all right? Okay, divided by 5, 5 and 8. Okay, all I got to do is check 6 and 7. 6, no. 7, no. Okay, now, I'm looking for the set. That adds up to -22. That would be this set right here. Okay, so that's going to be where my eyes are. Okay, so in my box, okay, first term, last term, chart 1 term, chart 2 term. Okay, I just want to go ahead and find GCFs going across. So that's 5 and -20, which will be 5. They both have I, so I to the first. Okay, the next one would be -2 and 8. Okay, that is 2, there's a minus there's a minus there. Okay, they don't have an I. Now you can know 5 times 1 would give me that, 5 times 4 would give me that. If you can do it that way, great. If you can't, you can continue to use that. So 1, they both have I, so I1. Okay, -20 and 8. That is 4. Since it's touching a negative box, that is negative. They don't have an I. So 5i to the first minus 2, 1i to the first minus 4. Okay? All right? Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to do 3 more just to help you. Okay? Big thing is that chart. You get that chart down, piece of cake. Okay? Minus, but that's positive. I know both sides. Okay? So there's a 1 here. Okay? All right, let's check this out. Okay, that's 1, -9, and 18. Okay, that's 1. They don't have any I's in common. Okay, so 1 times 18 would be 18. I got 1 and 18. okay? Like I said, if you're good at factor charts or things, you don't have to type as much, okay? That's 2 and 9. Okay, divide by 3. That's 3 and 6. Okay, the only two to choose between there is 4 and 5. So 4 no, decimal, 5 no. Okay, I'm looking for the set that adds up to -9. Okay, that would be this set. Okay, that would be the set that adds up to -9i. Okay, so when I make my box, I got 1i squared minus 3i to the first minus 6i to the first plus 18. Okay, all right, and then I'm just doing GCFs. Piece of cake. Okay, 1 and -6, which would be 1. They both have I to the first, -3 and 18. That is 3. That is a minus, so that would be a minus. Then I go 1 and -3. That is 1. They both have I to the first, I to the first. Then I got -6 and 18. That is 6. There's a minus here, there's a minus there. So my factors are 1i to the first minus 3, 1i to the first minus 6. You can flip them around if you would like. Okay, let's go to this one. Okay, let's check my GCF. Okay, 4, 8, -5. 1, they don't have any i's in common. Okay, now since I've got negative, and that's the part that's negative, I'm going to go ahead and make one side negative. Okay, I want to multiply 4 times -5, that would be -20. Obviously, no 1 and 20. Okay, all right. So 20 divided by 2, 2 and 10. Okay, now if you find the thing right away and figure it out, don't feel like you got to keep going. 3 no, 4 and 5. Okay, so I'm looking for the set that adds up to 8i. So that would be this set right here. Boom. Okay, all right. So in my chart, I got 4i squared minus 2i to the first plus 10i to the first minus 5. I didn't need to flip that one around because that one added up to exactly what I needed. Okay, so like I said, if you can know that 2 comes out of that, 2i to the first and -1, you can go ahead and do that. All right, if you need go Desmos, please use it. 4, 10, that's 2, I squared I1, so I1, -2, common -5, that is 1, since it's touching a negative box, it's negative. Then I go this way, or I could do 2 times this gives me that, which would be 2, 2 times 5 would give me that, okay? But like I said, you do what you need to do arithmetically to be accurate. 4 and -2, that would be 2, they both have I to the first. Then I got 10 and -5. Ten and -5 gives me 5. And since this touches a positive box, that'd be plus. So I got 2i to the first minus 1, 2i to the first plus 5. Okay, all right. Moving on to the last one. Okay. All right, so since I see a negative and that last number is negative, I know I got one side, okay? All right, let's check my GCF to make sure there was nothing there that I can take out. The next lesson we'll do, you'll start to see stuff coming out of there. All right, that's 1, they don't have that. All right, now I need to multiply 9 times -8, give me -72, so 172, okay? 72 is going to be a big chart for us, okay? 72 divided by 2 is 2 and 36, okay? 72 divided by 3 is 3 and 24. 72 divided by 4 is 4 and 18. 72 divided by 5, I believe is not going to work. Nope, divided by 6, 6 and 12. Okay, let's try 7. Nope, let's try 8, 8 and 9. So they're already on the board. Okay? Now, if I look at this, I'm looking for the set that adds up to negative 6. However, this one adds up to positive 6. So very simply, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip these around. So now I got this being negative 6. Okay, so these are my terms right there. All right, so I got my box. First term, 9i squared, positive 6i to the first, minus 12i to the first, minus 8. Remember, first and last. These are the numbers, the parts you get from the chart. Okay? All right? All right, so let's go back up here to this GCF one I've already got out. All right, so 9 and negative 12 would be 3. They both have I to the first, so I to the first. Okay, then I got 6 and negative 8 gives me 2. It's a touch of positive number, positive. That does has an I, that doesn't. Once again, 3i to the first times this would give me 9i to the second. 3i times negative 4 would give me that. Now, once again, go through and do your GCFs. Please do. 9 comma 6. Oops. 9 comma 6, which would be 3. I squared, I1, I1. Okay? Then I got negative 12 and negative 8. Negative 12, comma, negative 8 is going to be 4. Okay, since that is a minus, that has a minus, no I. So I got 3i to the first plus 2, 3i to the first minus 4. Okay, and that is how you would deal with negatives.